All right, welcome back, everyone. Glad you are joining us today. We want to welcome especially those who are connecting with us online. We appreciate you choosing to worship with us. Before we get too far into kind of our pre-sermon time where I make a few announcements, I do want to make this very important announcement, and this is especially for those who are online, because you may not have realized that today, right after our time of worship, after sharing the word, today we are going to have lunch here in the building. Okay, so if you're at home right now, guess what? You can throw this video on your phone, get in your car, and drive over here right now. And by the time you get here, you would have gotten the whole sermon, and you're going to be hungry, and that food is going to be right there ready for you. We're having tacos today. It's not Tuesday, but we're going to have tacos. And we are so excited to have you come and join us. The crew is in the kitchen working hard, and they're going to have a delicious meal set up for us. So we're excited about that. Okay, wow, those lights are working well today. Okay, so we want you to stay connected with our church. Stay connected with the Experience Church. We have several ways of doing that. We have the Facebook page. We have our Instagram account. We have our website, livetheexperience.org, which, by the way, on October 2nd, is going to have a relaunch along with the rest of our church. You may have heard that on October 2, we're going to relaunch our church. Now, we've never been closed. We never shut down completely. We went to an online service, but many of our ministries, we were not able to get them going fully because we just weren't allowed, or, it just wasn't the right time. But on October 2, we're relaunching with every ministry going full force, every ministry. And we're super excited about that. Children's ministry, youth ministries, our first impressions, our fellowship meals, our worship. Who's been wanting to sing some songs about Jesus, okay? That's coming back. So we want you to get excited, put that down in your calendar. And also at the same time, you might be ready to get involved. You might be saying, you know what? I'm ready to put myself back in action, and I would like to do that. So let us know if you're ready to get yourself going in ministry. So you can email us at support@livetheexperience.org, and we'll get you connected with the ministry leaders that right now are making the plans to get launched up again on October 2nd. Now, we've been going through let me say this first. On October 2, we are relaunching. So between now and the relaunch date, October 2, we're having some gatherings in members' homes. And that's going to be my opportunity to share with you what some of our plans and our dreams are for the Experience Church. And if you'd like to come, and we have some refreshments going on, and it's going to be a great time of fellowship, and just hear about what God is going to be doing, what plans He's put on the hearts of your leaders here at the Experience Church. Tonight, we're having one at the home of Isla and Vontris. Okay, that's going to be tonight at 6 p.m. And if you are interested in going, you can find their address on our Instagram account. We have a post there about where you can go. So August 7th is going to be our next one. That's tonight. Then on August 21st, we're going to be at the home of Tori and Susie Jones, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. They're in Meridian. And then on August 28th, we're going to be at the home of Brian and Michelle Yeager, and that's going to be also at 6 p.m. So we want to make sure that you are involved, that you know what's going on, and this is also going to be your chance to decide if you want to get involved in some way, because we are coming back full force, pedal to the metal, the Experience Church back in action. The best church in Meridian, if you ask my biased opinion. Anyway, so thank you. Now, what we want you to do, pull this video up on your on your app here, on your Facebook or your YouTube app, we want you to like and share this video and let people know that they can join us and learn about creating motion in and around them. So here at the Experience Church, we like to connect. We're all about connection, connecting to God and connecting to one another. And we like to throw out a question, because we do have our online audience and we do have those who are in the building, but we're all one family. So if you use the chat in your phone, you can answer this question and we can interact with one another. And here is the question: what was the last concert that you attended? What was the last concert that you attended? Okay? And even put the embarrassing ones, okay? That's okay. What was the last concert that you attended? The reason I have this question on my mind is because on Thursday night, Project 88.7 put on a concert at Roaring Springs. We called it Summer Splash, and we had, I'll throw out these names. I don't know if they mean anything to you, but we had Randy B. Funk, who was a local Christian rap artist. We had Zonti. We had Wande, and we had KB headlining. Now, some of you, those names don't mean much to you, but they are Christian hip-hop artists, and it was a great sold-out show by Project 88.7. If you've never been to Summer Splash, most of the people listening to the concert are in the wave pool. And we set up a stage at the edge of the wave pool. So it's a really fun and unique concert. And it was great. And we were there until 1:30 in the morning. Woo! The concert ended at 10:30, but we were there till 1:30. And it was an awesome concert. And let me tell you, I don't ever like to go to bed that late if I don't have to. Okay, I don't know if you're a night owl. I used to be a night owl, but as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more of a mid-evening owl. Like to be in bed by 9 o'clock or so, which is, I know when I say that it sounds so pathetic, but it's so true. My body just starts shutting down. And but when I was driving home at 1:30 in the morning, from packing up gear and lighting and sound equipment at the end of the concert, I was just thinking about all these young people who are in this wave pool and about these artists who are standing in front of them and saying, this is what Jesus has done in my life. This is how God has transformed my life. And one of these artists even invited everyone there to give their heart to Jesus. And led them through a prayer of giving your heart to Jesus. And I said, I would stay up till 1:30 the next day if that continued to happen. Because that's what we're about. At Project 88.7, at KTSY, and here at the Experience Church, we're about inviting people into this connection with God through Jesus Christ. And I was just so honored to be a part of that. So I want to thank the leadership at Project and at Barefoot Media Ministries and Roaring Springs for hosting us, and the artists for doing such a great job. I remember the first time I met Denise. We were at college, and a friend of mine told me, hey, there's this girl that I know. She just came to the university. She's studying to be a physical therapist. You should meet her. You've ever been part of that conversation? Like, hey, here's a person you should meet. And I went down to the basement of the church where there was a potluck, and I saw this beautiful, gorgeous, amazing looking, just in shape, thin Mexican girl. And I was like, oh yeah, I like what I'm seeing here. And we fell in love, not immediately, it took a little bit, but we fell in love. We decided to get married, we got married, and we began our life of ministry and marriage. And that's taken us to different places. And one thing I didn't understand because, in marriage, you have many adventures, right? It's moving in together, buying your first home, and then, of course, the kids come, right? And that adventure of children is amazing, and you look forward to it. But I didn't know that there was this other side of having children, okay? And the other side of having children was that both Denise and I blame the children completely on this. Both Denise and I started gaining weight. Now, I know that there's some biological reason in her that happened, but I don't know why it was happening to me too. There has to be some connection there. But so I started expanding, and I've always battled with my weight, but obviously Denise didn't until she had children, because she was just this beautiful, perfect bodied thing, but we were struggling, both of us, and I saw her struggle, and of course, I continued in my struggle, and we tried different things, and that up and down stuff. We moved to Idaho, and Denise found this process. She found this way of eating and exercising, and I watched her just become healthy again, and I was just like, wow, and I start just being in awe of her and this journey that she's in, and she got to a healthy weight, and I was just like, wow. That's great. And then I look at myself. I'm just like, oh boy, this is bad, So I remember going to her one day and saying, honey, this thing that you've been doing, could I try it? She's like, sure. She never pushed me, even though she should have, right? She never told me, but she did her thing, and then I got inspired. And I started, and I never looked back. And now I'm feeling good, and I'm like, wow, look where I've gotten to. And it was because of her decision, it was because of her movement towards health that it inspired me and moved me towards those goals as well. And I stand here today in a better place, spiritually, mentally, and health-wise, because of the decisions and the movement of my wife. Amen. We're going to continue this series called Chasing Daylight. We are learning from a story in the life of Jonathan about taking advantage of the moments that God places before us. And Jonathan was the first prince of Israel, the son of Saul, the first king of Israel. And we understand that what Jonathan did one day is he decided to get up with his armor bearer and to engage the Philistines, the enemies. And in that moment, by his movement into God's will, by him engaging the enemy, a great victory was had for God and for his people. And the author of this book calls this the Jonathan factor. And he defines it this way: the Jonathan factor is the explosive result that occurs when we step into a divine moment and unleash its full potential. We all want that. We want to be people of impact. We want to be people who make a difference in the world. We want to learn how to do that. We want to learn how to practice it, how to be those people each and every day. Now, let me remind you of where we left the story off last time. So Jonathan grabbed his armor bearer and he said, let's go engage the Philistine army. And the armor bearer said, okay, let's go. And they went through the mountains. They had cliffs on each side. And Jonathan told his armor bearer, we're going to show ourselves to the enemy. And if the enemy looks down on us and says, hey, you guys come on up here, and we're going to show you, we're going to teach you a lesson, then we'll know that God has given us the victory. But if they tell us to wait there, we know that we've been caught and it's probably all over. Well, when they showed themselves to the Philistine army, the Philistines said, come on up here, let me show you what's what. And Jonathan climbed up the side of this cliff with his armor bearer. And when he got up there, him and his armor bearer, with only one sword or spear, were able to defeat and kill 20 of the Philistines. And there's an overarching theme that I want you to keep in mind as we go through the message today, and it's this: movers create movement. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that if you get into motion in life, if you get into motion spiritually with God, things will start moving around you. Movers create movement. And we don't move so that we can create movement. We are people of movement. Right? We don't try to do things to make things happen. We just do things and things happen. The motivation is important. And we do things because we're commanded to. We do things because we're faithful to God's calling. I find it so interesting that people, you see this in ministry a lot. As a pastor, people come to you and say, "Pastor, you guys should do this. Pastor, this is the kind of ministries that the church should do." And what they're really saying is, "Pastor, here's what I think you should be doing. Here's what I think the actions you should take, the decisions you should make." But truly, if you want to see something happen around you, you have to get in motion. You have to start being the spark that ignites the thing that you want to happen. If you're going to always wait for somebody else to do something, you're going to be waiting for a very long time and not much is going to happen. I remember that in ministry once, I was seeing that at our school there was some people who were dissatisfied with what was happening. I was working at a Christian school, a Christian high school, and people wanted to see things happen. So I said, okay, let's find out what's going on. And I started polling the students. We did a survey, and what do the students want? They want this, they want that. They think this could be improved, that could be improved. And I put it all together in a document. And I went to the students and I said, "Is this a reflection of what you're saying?" And the students were like, "Yes, this is a reflection of what we're saying." So I take all of that information and I say, the students are asking for this. The students are wanting to do this, and they're ready to move. And they're ready to get into action. But of course, we had to get the permission, right? You have to get people to say yes. But it was because those students wanted to see something happen that the school had to step back and say, okay, we got to let it go. And I always tell young people, you want to see your church change? Then change it. You want to see your church move? Start moving. And that process that we went through began a time of worship and connection in the school that didn't exist before. And I was so proud of what those students did. Well, let's pick up where this story is. 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 15. Here is what happened. Suddenly, panic broke out in the Philistine army, both in the camp and in the field, including even the outposts and raiding parties. And just then, an earthquake struck, and everyone was terrified. So Jonathan and his armor bearer slay 20 people